From an undisclosed location in America, you are watching Card to Card, and this is episode 41 about Johnny Appleseed. Uh, this is probably one of the most famous characters in MetaZoo. This is from the MetaZoo UFO set, by the way, first edition. Artwork there by Michael Peckham. Pretty cool artwork of Johnny Appleseed. So, I always heard about Johnny Appleseed growing up. I heard about him way more than I heard about like the Mothman and stuff like that. I never thought of him as a cryptid, but here he is in the set. Of course, this set has like fabled characters too, not just cryptid creatures. So pretty cool. They did a card on Johnny Appleseed. Now this card was like it had a different art, but it was in like the preview. The pre-release sets when they send them out to like the prototypes, and I always thought this card was going to show up in the Wilderness set, but here it is in the UFO set. Well, so who was Johnny Appleseed, or what is Johnny Appleseed? Well, he was actually a real guy. His name was also known as John Chapman, and he was not just a fable or legend. He was a pioneer, like an American pioneer nurseryman who actually introduced apple trees to Pennsylvania, West Virginia, Ohio, Indiana, and Illinois. And he also gave us this great symbolic importance to apples. And of course today, I mean, I love apples. And let's face it, apples are one of the most fantastic fruits out there. They're delicious, juicy, so good. There's different types of apples. Just an outstanding food, and very healthy too. Haven't you ever heard an apple a day keeps the doctor away? Well, it probably wouldn't hurt anyone to eat an apple a day, that's for sure. I mean, animals love apples. I mean, it's just a great gift of food from this earth. So, thank you so much to Johnny Appleseed for like spreading apples through the land, and I love that story of Johnny Appleseed. Now, there is a Johnny Appleseed Museum in Urbana, Ohio. So, let's go visit.
What comes to mind when you think of Johnny Appleseed?
Kind of like a rugged country, like a country boy. Maybe a little scruffy.
Maybe you think of this.
Oh, here am I, neath the blue, blue sky, a-doing as I please.
I think that very few people know the real John Chapman. I'm not sure I do, but an awful lot of people know this Johnny Appleseed character, with the staff and the tin pot hat and little animals following along behind him, and that wasn't it.
Steve Fortreed is the author of Johnny Appleseed, the man behind the myth. He says some people don't realize Johnny Appleseed was a real person. His real name was John Chapman.
One of the things, because he traveled around so much, he would have been in the local newspaper. When he comes to your house, you really want to invite him in, because you're going to find out what's going on back in the town you came from.
He was born in 1774 and traveled between Ohio and Indiana, planting apple tree nurseries.
He started moving west, entered Ohio in 1801. So he was here before we were even a state. When he came in, he started planting apple seeds. Those apple seeds would get to about 3 to 5 years old, and he would sell them to the settlers coming in.
Cheryl Ogden runs the Johnny Appleseed Museum in Urbana, Ohio, located on the grounds of Urbana University. She says education was important to John Chapman, and that's most likely why the museum came to be what it is. According to her, Chapman was a businessman, and a really good one at that. He provided early settlers with fruit trees so they could lay claim to a piece of property. The trees were a way for settlers to prove they were going to remain on that land.
Kind of fight that goofball image all the time. I really get frustrated with it. But like I said, we have to embrace it. It's how people still know him today.
But there are characteristics of the mythical image of Johnny Appleseed that hold true with John Chapman. Ogden says he was extremely generous, hardworking, a great storyteller, and most importantly, tolerant. But one of his most iconic trademarks does not hold true: the cooking pot hat.
To put the cooking pot on your head would not have been practical. It would have been hot, uncomfortable. It's just not something that would have been done as a hat.
John Chapman died in 1845 in Fort Wayne, Indiana, at the home of one of his friends. He's believed to be buried here in the Archer family graveyard.
Okay, that was awesome. I would love to actually, if I was in Urbana, Ohio, I would go to that museum. And that's interesting that they said that he didn't really wear a pot on his head, and they do show a pot, like a pan on top of his head here in the art. This is the part of the video where we take a close look at the artwork here and see if we see anything cool, like little Easter eggs. So I do like, I mean, you can tell he's spreading those seeds. He's got that hole in his bag, dropping apple seeds. There's already apple trees all around him, so he's already been here. He's got his pan on his head. It says date of birth 1774. I believe that checked out. This says Leominster, Massachusetts. Maybe that was where he was actually born. So his attack is a seed attack. That's kind of funny. And if an apple is within eyesight, generate a seed token. And the flavor text, it says, Johnny Appleseed has made, it's very small writing, by the way, has made it his duty in life to help, oh my goodness, to help germinate the cryptid nation. This incredible individual has a deep love for apples. Yeah, you're telling me. Well, I love apples too, and I am very happy that they put this card in. I was hoping it would be in the Wilderness set, but at least they did put it in the UFO set. I guess I can't make every card in UFO, like UFO related, but this seemed like it would have fit more in the Wilderness set. It seems more nature themed. Anyway, what do you guys think? Do you believe this story that Johnny Appleseed was a real guy? This John Chapman? I think it's pretty well established that he was real. And they said that there is actually one of his apple trees that he planted still alive to this day. So I think it was, they showed it later in the video, but I mean, I didn't want to have that video go for like 5 minutes. But there is one of his original apple trees that he planted still there. So there's actual proof of his apple trees. And this is definitely a guy that left behind a legacy. So thumbs up to Johnny Appleseed. And I definitely am going to have more appreciation for this card when I open UFO packs. All right. So if you're walking around out in the countryside in like the upper Midwest, and you're walking by this little country road and you see an apple tree, keep your eyes out.
Making sure his garden grows. You plant a seed in every town he goes, fertilizing the countryside. You couldn't stop him with insecticide.